Hey guys, I'm here in Seattle, just between coming back from the Virgin Islands and going back home to harvest. This is our first update, and it's really important to me to keep these updates as unrehearsed as possible. So here's just some real-time processing. Right now, I have exactly enough to either live on for a year or go to 2 more summit trainings. So that's been a really interesting thing to ponder in my mind. My litmus test, and I remember talking to my mom about this once, was if I were to stop everything I'm learning right now, could I take everything I've learned and implement it in a way that would change my world and the worlds around me? And so it's been a great week to kind of hold that in awareness. It's been a very stressful and crazy week in other ways, but it's been a really powerful litmus test of, am I taking what I'm learning? Could I be implementing it more? And I think that applies to any season of life, any line of education or betterment. Is if I were to stop right now, not learn another thing, what would I find if I went back and looked through my notes? That's been really, really enlightening for me. So obviously I feel really torn right now. My heart is first and foremost with my family and with my local community. That is the reason I do everything I do. And if funding comes in for Strength and Love, I really would love to go. And so it's interesting to me to hold both of those. If not, I'm just going to continue implementing what I've learned at the local level. I'm in 3 courses currently. I'm in G-Force, which we just had an amazing call today about implementing philanthropic ventures and community betterment causes in with the framework of your business. And that was just, that call alone was just so many takeaways from there. This week, our big highlight was my dad. I mean, this probably happened a few weeks ago. He's humble, he doesn't brag. But my dad bagged up. We had some seed peas left over from a couple years ago that were marked edible consumption, and my dad got some of the neighborhood kids together and they bagged those up, and they bagged up 40 bushels worth, which is quite a bit, and they took those up to the Edmonton Food Bank. And this week there's people eating that really appreciate having those peas. So that just again reminds me of the ripple effects of someone seeing an opportunity and doing, not thinking like, ooh, this is a cool idea, but actually doing it. So there's so much potential for that. I've really hit my rescue training hard this week. I came off the island feeling very healed, very energized. Any of the sickness that I was fighting before I went was gone, so I hit that really hard this week. I'm still studying for my REMT, not as much as I should be, but that's on the to-do list. And I took another step towards acceptance for my Master's of Divinity Studies. So holding that with open hands, if now's the time to go into that, I'm open. So I found a program that offers a Master's in Global Leadership with an outdoor ministry track, which is like so in line with what my future's calling me towards. So we'll see. We'll see. God has me where he wants me, and I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. And this week that is in Seattle. One of the biggest takeaways for me this week was what one of my girlfriends told me when I was having one of my leveling it out real moments. And that was, are you moving towards your 10-year plan? And what I love about that is so many of us get lost in what we want to get done this year, what we want to get done this season, this quarter, this week, especially those of us that are type A and driven and seeing areas of change we want to implement in our lives and businesses and people around us. And I think sometimes we forget the overall trend. You know, if you're used to seeing, say, a heart rate monitor or a stock chart, everything goes like do, 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 right? And so it's easy when you're in the do to be like, yay, and when you're in the do to be like, wah. But if you remember the overall trend, and Jeremy does that with us in trading, is we have to draw trend lines. And so a trade can be doing this, but still going up. And like, this is your 10-year plan. It hangs out up here. And so even if today was a jute you're still going in that direction. And I think it's just not our nature to have the luxury to think 10 years down the road. And when I think about this past week, which was chock full of fear reactions and triggers and struggles, and it was just a mess, this week was a for me. But when I think about that covered a ton of ground. So I just want to leave that there. Shout out to Jess, who, your smartest friend is usually the quietest one, who is wise enough to not add her voice to spaces because she's so busy recognizing the greatness of those around her. That's Jess, and I really appreciate her truth in my life. And that's all I have for updates this week. And hopefully sometime in the next 7 days, you'll see some random updates from me being on the combine, and I will be sharing harvest thoughts.